This is EcoTEC's EcoTEC Roundup show from Aptera's first and only climate-positive certified renewable electricity company. We only source from wind, hydro and solar, and we are the leading supplier of electricity to EVs in Aptera. Search today at ecotecity.co.nz. Welcome back to another roundup of news from the world of clean cars and green energy. Thanks for joining me and Happy New Year! As it's the start of a brand shiny new year, we're seeing final sales totals for 2023 roll in, and at the top of the list is Tesla. Publishing its unaudited sales data for last year on January 2nd, the company recorded record-breaking global sales for both the last quarter and the year, with 495,000 vehicles produced and 484,000 vehicles delivered. Year-end, the company beat its goal of producing 1.8 million EVs globally, producing an estimated 1.85 million vehicles and delivering 1.81 million. While Tesla is generally pretty accurate with its quarter-end estimates, it is worth noting those figures won't be official until Tesla releases its Q4 earnings later this month. Last year, we saw some pretty regular price changes for in-production EVs, making it pretty difficult to keep track of exactly how much a vehicle would cost to buy. We'd hoped that would be left behind us in 2024, but Ford is already rolling out price changes, announcing this week that its 2024 model year F150 Lightning electric pickup truck will get some significant price changes right out of the gate. Midweek, the automaker has yet again pushed the entry-level price of the F150 Lightning Pro upwards, with the standard range variant now costing just shy of $55,000, while the next trim variant up, the standard range XLT, goes up to just shy of $65,000. The only models to get price cuts, that would be the Platinum and Platinum Black trims. Not cool, Ford. Hyundai has just published its 2023 sales data and, like Tesla, it broke through its previous sales records for EVs. During December, Hyundai sold 3,261 Ioniq 5 in the US and 2,056 Ioniq 6. This brings year-end totals for Ioniq-branded EVs to a total of 46,917, a new EV sales record for Hyundai. While that figure isn't anywhere near Tesla's global EV sales figures, though, it is worth noting Hyundai's sales figures for the US are impressive when you consider that not a single Hyundai-badged EV currently qualifies for US federal tax incentives on purchased vehicles, although leased vehicles did attract the tax credit via a loophole in legislation. Either way, these figures really dismiss the idea that EV sales are falling. They're not. Solar electric vehicle company Aptera announced an essential deal just before the new year that will secure batteries for its upcoming three-wheeler. Announced at the end of last week, Aptera has just signed a multi-million-dollar partnership with Korean Tier 1 parts supplier CTNS that the firm says is worth more than $15 million. As per its agreement, CTNS will install battery production lines for Aptera as well as supply it with finished battery packs for use in its vehicles. While it's worth noting that this deal was likely going through some extensive negotiations prior to its official announcement, it does raise the question of exactly if and when we'll see customer-ready Apteras rolling off the production line, as we think it's going to take a significant amount of time to ramp up a brand new battery production line. As we reported in our last normal news roundup show of 2023, Chevrolet's all-new Blazer EV is off to a rocky start, with plenty of reports of unreliable software and, in at least 2 cases, charging station malfunctions. This week, GM confirmed that it's not only issued a stop sale for Blazer EVs until it can iron out those teething problems, but has also issued a recall notice to address faulty door strikers that could, in some some cases, fracture, causing doors to open while the vehicle is in motion. According to official NHTSA recall documents, the issue was caused by a faulty part from one of GM's suppliers, and the company says it wasn't heat treated properly and may fracture under certain conditions. In addition to the Chevrolet Blazer EV, the recall also affects certain Chevrolet Blazer ICE variants, Chevrolet Equinox ICE variants, and GMC Terrain models. Kia published its quarterly sales data this week, and just like its sibling brand Hyundai, had a good end to the year for EV sales. In the final quarter of the year, Kia sold 1,249 Kia EV6 variants in the US, up 13% year-on-year. However, when looking at Kia's EV6 sales figures for the whole year, when compared to 2022, there was an 8% sales drop for EV6 models, with approximately 18,800 sold. However, thanks to EV9 sales, which only launched at the end of the year and managed 1,113 vehicles during Q4, Kia seems to have finished the year with a slight increase in EV sales. That is, if we assume it sold around 10,000 Niro EVs, that's a figure suggested by Inside EVs as a fairly conservative estimate, since Kia doesn't actually break Niro EV sales off from its main Niro sales figures. While the Chevrolet Bolt EV isn't being sold as a 2024 model year and official production ended at the end of last year, you might think it's hard to still buy one new. But if you're bargain hunting, as some of our colleagues in the EV press note, you might be able to nab a great deal on one of those last examples off the line. Why? Well, on January 1st, the US federal tax credit for EVs switched to a point of purchase incentive, meaning that, technically, if you can find an entry-level Chevrolet Bolt EV sitting on a dealer lot somewhere that's not marked up, you could end up paying just under $20,000 for a highway-capable EV that's great for a round-town runabout. That said, as most Chevrolet Bolt EV owners will admit, while you can fast charging takes far longer than quoted when the temperature outside is low. Rivian published its Q4 and end-of-year delivery figures this week, and despite beating its year-end goals, its stock fell after those figures were made public. Finishing the year with 17,541 vehicles produced in the final quarter and delivering 13,972, Rivian closed up the year with a total of 57,232 vehicles produced and 50,122 vehicles delivered. That beat its own guidance by a significant margin, but Wall Street wasn't impressed because Rivian missed its Q4 predictions of over 14,000 vehicles delivered. Combine that with a large expected outlay for its new production facility, and Wall Street doesn't see much in the way of profits for a while, despite Rivian's positive growth and Rivian beating its own estimates. Just before the holiday break, Reuters published an investigative piece claiming that Tesla blamed tens of thousands of Tesla owners for suspension faults with their cars, when instead the faults were allegedly caused by faults in vehicle design. Reuters cites documents it's obtained from Tesla engineers that refer to, quote, flaws and, quote, failures, end quote, in its vehicle design, as well as Tesla service memos telling technicians they should not tell customers that broken parts were faulty, but instead to place the blame on owners for improperly using their vehicles. Tesla refutes the allegations and claims Reuters made up the story. But now 2 US senators have become involved, calling on Tesla and Elon Musk to issue a recall campaign to rectify any allegedly faulty suspension and steering components. This story is likely going to develop for a while, so watch this space. Porsche has yet again taken to the Nürburgring Nordschleife in a Porsche Taycan to see just how quickly it can loop the green hell. And wouldn't you know it, it set a new lap record. As confirmed by Porsche on Tuesday, a pre-series Taycan, I'm going to infer from that it's the newest, highest powered Taycan variant we've been promised this year, posted a lap time of 7 minutes and 7.55 seconds, a full 26 seconds faster than the Porsche Taycan Turbo S Sport that went around the track in August of 2022. It's also 17.681 seconds faster than the previous record holder for a production electric sedan, a Tesla Model S plaid with track package. Given that neither Tesla nor Elon Musk likes being beaten, we should expect a new attempt by a Tesla round the green hell very soon. Before we get to the last two stories, I have a quick question. Are you in the market for a new EV? Because if you are, and you are in Aptera, you should totally check out our very own buyer's guide at ecotricity.co.nz. It is packed with all the information you need to pick a car that's right for you and includes plenty of details about incentives you can get, charging providers you can charge up with, and of course how to get clean energy at home. So follow the link below and start your journey today. With the Tesla Cybertruck now in series production and people taking deliveries in North America, we're learning more and more about Tesla's very unique ute. This week, the lovely Kyle Connor from Out of Spec Studios got his hands on one of the very first Cybertrucks off Tesla's production line in Texas, and we learned some very interesting facts about it, most curiously relating to charging. According to Kyle, the production Cybertruck point blank refuses to work with any existing Tesla to CCS charging adapters, meaning you won't be able to use anything other than a Tesla supercharger to fast charge at. While a physical CCS Type 1 adapter won't fit unless you pull apart the trim around the rear wheel and charge port, he also discovered that even with said parts removed and the connector pushed home, the Cybertruck just point blank refused to charge at an EVgo charging station. Sure, it is a Tesla, but here's hoping that Tesla pushes backward compatibility, because not everyone is going to be within range of a Tesla supercharger. And finally, this week marks the first anniversary of the passing of the late great Ken Block, rally driver and action sports legend extraordinaire. And while Ken spent many years hooning around in gasoline-powered vehicles as part of his long-established Gymkhana series, he also spent time putting EVs through their paces too. And just before the holiday season, the Hoonigan YouTube channel posthumously posted the last video Block made, drifting a specially made Audi S1 Hoonitron EV around the streets of Mexico City in Electricana 2. While it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and I'm sure some of you watched it when it was published back at the start of December, it also felt like a good story to end this show on 1 year after Ken's untimely and tragic death. Drift on, Ken. Drift on. And on that note, we are in fact done for the day. Before I go though, do make sure you've hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on the latest in EV news from this channel. And if you haven't switched yet, it's time to switch to Aptera's first and only climate positive certified renewable electricity provider. It is super easy to make the switch, and in doing so, you'll help the nation wean itself off dirty energy and onto clean green power that will keep the land beautiful. Go on, if you haven't made one yet, make it your New Year's resolution. I'll be back next week as usual, but in the meantime, be sure to check out other great content on this channel, including that produced by the lovely Gavin Kiwi Evie Shoebridge. He's always doing something awesome, and I'm just a little bit jealous. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. Have an amazing rest of the week. Enjoy the summer weather. Ka kite, and see you next time.